what you said there reminded very much of something Ricky Gervais has said about how a Christian is almost as atheistic as I am, because I don't believe in about 5,000 gods, and they don't believe in 4,999 gods.
Yeah.
So it's quite similar there on that front with the flat earthers. A lot of flat earthers are religious. I would say a large percentage, Katz, wouldn't you say? Pretty large percentage.
Definitely.
I'm baffled at the ones that aren't.
Well, I think a lot that aren't are UK based. So we often find that most American flat earthers are religious. The UK based one normally aren't. Maybe that's just because of the culture over here. But some of the flat earthers that are religious, they cite evidence from the Bible that the earth is flat. Does that surprise you much, knowing what you know?
Nah, it only surprises me that. So let's look at it from something simple. Pascal's wager is a horribly flawed argument. It puts Christianity up against atheism, as if those are the only two options.
Yeah.
It's broken at every single turn. And yet I've been hearing it over and over again for years. And that's because for somebody, it's the first time they've heard it.
Yeah.
Or they were indoctrinated and they found this. The same thing happens, I think, and again, I don't deal with them as much as you guys do, with conspiracy theories in general. For me, when I look at flat earthers, I see the same sort of Alex Jones conspiracy theorists who are bucking authority. They're not going to believe what NASA has to say. They're not going to believe what the news has to say. They're not going to believe what the government has to say. They think that, oh, you got a Nobel Prize. Well, that's all rigged too. And, there's a cabal of scientists who are trying to shut this down. And they don't realize quite often that the amount of collusion and deception that needs to take place in order to hold up a conspiracy of that magnitude it's obviously self-defeating. And I think that what's happened, I hope that you guys are successful in reaching some of them and getting them to realize this, but because now this has got momentum, I don't think we're going to be done with flat earth anytime soon.
No, I think you're right. I think Katz has had a good success. He bought quite a big, in terms of making content, this guy made quite a lot of flat earth content, didn't he? And you managed to pull him back, didn't you?
Yeah, he makes anti-flat earth content now. But you have just sparked. Do you mind if I just chuck a question in here?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Yeah, sure. My time is your time until the puppy tears up everything in the house, and then I got to go.
With you talking about belief and believing in flat earth or believing in God, etc., do you think that belief is a choice? And by that I mean the people who are believing in God, do you think that they believe in God because the brain has processed all their experiences and that's just a result of the brain processing, if you like, that now they believe it? Or do you think the belief is a choice and then there's that cognitive dissonance with, do they understand the things that defy that?
I don't think we choose any belief in any simple sense. I think that if you define belief as I do, which is a belief in X is the state of being convinced that X is likely true, or sometimes I'll say true or likely true. And that's just there for the people who think that you can be absolutely certain, and I don't. But beliefs are the result of becoming convinced. Now, you can become convinced for good reasons or bad reasons. And if you become convinced for bad reasons, one of the bad reasons is you can think that you chose this. But when you walk someone through, like choose to think you can fly, choose to think gravity doesn't work on you. Obviously, those things you can't just do. What you can do, to some extent, is choose to act as if you believe and choose to profess a belief. And so I can say, let's say I'm married again, and I'm convinced that my spouse is faithful. I became convinced for reasons. Those reasons could be good or bad, but I can choose to act as if I believe they're unfaithful. I can choose to take those actions to what, let me paraphrase, let me put in a disclaimer here. To whatever extent we can in fact choose anything, because I don't want to get into the, do we have free will and what type and all that. I think you can choose how you act, what you do on behalf of those beliefs. But if you define belief as the state of being convinced that X is likely true, I don't think you can choose that. I think the closest you can come is to the state of acting as if you believe that something is true.